Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. FAROOQ Hassan is back with a new episode of Sky's the Limit. As you all know, I try to bring people, specifically Pakistanis, on my program who have done something big for the country, who have contributed to the cause of Pakistan. May it be any field. It could be economics, it could be politics, it could be commerce, anything significant. These are our unsung heroes about whom we know very little about, and my attempt is to actually bring them to you. Today I am sitting with a very proud Pakistani, and I feel so happy and delighted to actually read out her intro. I am sure you'll feel the same way. Dr. Sara Qureshi, she is the CEO, Chief Executive Officer and co-founder of Aero Engine Craft Private Limited. This is Pakistan's first commercial engine and aircraft research and development company, developing environmentally safe, contrail-free aircraft engines for the global aviation industry. She has a PhD in aerospace engineering from Cranfield University, United Kingdom. She has recently co-invented and patented a supersonic commercial aircraft engine as well. Yeah, that's true. She is also serving as a visiting academic at the School of Aerospace, Cranfield University. She also holds a private pilot license and has also learnt acrobatic flying while at Cranfield. So this is a really talented Pakistani female, and we're gonna speak to her today. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Sara.
Walaikum assalam.
It's such a pleasure and so heartening to know that a Pakistani female has excelled so much, and in a field which is usually a male dominated field, you know, like engineering, aerospace and all. So let me start with the basics first. I'll come to how you landed up in aerospace later. First tell me something about your early childhood. Was this inspiration developed at that stage, or is it something you picked up on your way?
I think it was, it's a lot to do with the childhood that I had. I think even when I was born, my mother was doing her MPhil in chemistry.
MashaAllah.
And when we were kids, we were 3 siblings, my mother was doing her PhD. And because we were young, so she used to do it, you know, do a lot of work at home, you know, running. Like simulations on the computer wasn't like a household item. Only a few universities had a computer, or one university would have one. But my father got one from Japan, and my mother used to work on it and code her programs for her PhD research. So very early on, I saw that, and we would learn things on the way, because aapko pata hai, you know, when you are as children up, you know, you try as a family, you kind of converge, you are in the same place.
So tell us about something about your early childhood.
Okay, yes, my early childhood has a very significant role. I think even when I was born, my mother was doing her MPhil in chemistry, and then we were 3 siblings, and when we were young, during our school years, she was doing her PhD in chemistry, and she used to do a lot of work from home, running simulations on a computer. Computers were a novelty. Pakistan had just numbered computers, like maybe 1 in every office, 1 in every university. But we had one at home, and she used to work on that.
At that time it was a rarity.
Yes. My dad got it from Japan, and she learned coding, and you know, so that was like really being at the cutting edge at that time, at the frontiers of knowledge. So I saw that at home.
At early childhood, you got exposure of the...
Yes, we were young, like 7, 10, young kids. And then my dad was a scientist. He was working for the government, but he always had a lab at home. Like one room was always dedicated to a lab, or the shed, or the basement. There was always one technical corner in our house. So he used to work there in the evenings. He did several projects, if I can't really count, but maybe he has like 50 inventions, 100 inventions, a number of products. I know that in the aerospace and automotive domain, which is my subject, he has around 10 inventions.
Wow.
So
these are all patented?
No, not 3 are patented.
Okay.
Because patent in itself is a
difficult task.
painstaking process.
Yeah.
So so it was always like that. And then one of his I think very strong characteristics was that he would give children priority and spend a lot of time with us when he was not at work. And if we would want to spend time with him, or we would want him to teach us or do a certain project or a certain activity, he was always there, always supportive, both my parents. So we used to do like some school projects together, and also study. Like at that time tuitions were not very common. Like now I see all kids going to academies and tuitions, and they go to school.
Parents used to spend a lot of time with kids.
Yeah, parents would teach, and like I would always, either my mother would teach something or my father would teach something. And like once I wanted to do something in particle physics, which it wasn't my mother's field, so she asked one of her colleagues to teach me. So that's the way it was always like that.
Your mother was a professor of chemistry?
Quantum chemistry.
Wow.
Yeah. Quantum is,
so
all over the place
family,
now.
Huh? You got it from your parents?
Yeah, it's some people say it's in my DNA. If you want to.
You were the eldest of the siblings?
I'm the eldest of the siblings.
So a lot of pressure and responsibility in that regard also?
I don't think I took pressure, but yes, generally the eldest child has develops a sense of responsibility. It just comes naturally. And I felt that even in my early years. When I was growing up, my mother was doing her PhD. So I used to try to help her and get involved in household work with her. And any way I could support her or look after my younger sister. She's 7 years younger to me. And even with my dad, when I grew a little older, he used to go to factories and do like projects in his extra time. And of course I used to accompany him, one, to learn, definitely I had interest, and also because I had this sense of responsibility that my dad is working so hard, I need to support him, I need to help him out.
Wow.
And in the long run, I think that helped me out more. I don't know how much support
he got. You've made Pakistan proud. You are on the global map. You're doing something which is revolutionary. And especially for females, you are an inspiration for females in Pakistan. So during school days, were you a bright student, the studious one? The teacher's pet, or you were you had equal interest in extracurricular activities also?
I was very involved in extracurricular activities, very focused, but generally bright.
Good student.
A good student.
Top 3, top 5.
Yeah. In early school years, among the top few. And when I grew a bit older, like I had this, I was very focused, and I would always, like every summer break, there was a plan. Like sometimes I see youngsters these days, they have their holidays and there's no plan, you don't have to do. So I had a plan for every summers, like I either have to do a stitching course or a cooking course or a computer course. Some skill, yes, exactly, awesome. Put it right. So, or painting, I have to learn something.
Your dad was an architect also, huh? He designed this house. Well,
yeah,
that's one of the skills he had.
Self-taught architect and self-taught painter. Yeah, so we had, like, he used to give us a few, basic painting lessons as well, about shadows and lights and horizons, and the basic concepts you have. So I used to take those, and I used to
were you an extrovert or introvert? Like, did you have a lot of friends? Were you social?
Yes, I think I was somewhere in the middle, not very loud and extrovert, but not too introvert either.
Okay.
Now I would say I'm more of an extrovert with all this media coverage.
Yeah. I'm sure
It has
you have
made
to.
me more extrovert at my work, but I wasn't you can't say I was an introvert. I was a friendly person.
Friendly person.
Yeah.
Okay. So you did your O levels?
I did my O levels from OPF.
Okay, and
then my A levels.
Same college?
Same, yeah.
In Islamabad.
OPF
okay.
is in F8.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then?
And then I opted to do engineering, and
this was your own choice?
yes.
By
my
choice?
own choice.
Not any parental pressure?
No.
And you
I
had a
was
flair
always
for?
Huh?
You had a flair for physics?
I had a flair for engineering, physics, maths. I was good at bio as well, but somehow I wanted to
You didn't want to become a doctor?
No, I took bio until O levels,
Okay.
and I was good at it. But yeah, this
Okay.
was
And
like
then you got admission in? For
Then I
engineering?
got admission in NUST EME College.
Okay,
which
and
is
that
a-
is one of the leading universities in Pakistan?
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
And a lot of startups in that university. I was reading an article that
Yes,
that's
they
probably the
have,
largest number of startups.
They have some good startups.
Yeah.
Actually, when I opted for mechanical engineering
Okay.
at that time, and they refused to admit me to mechanical engineering. They admitted me to software engineering instead.
Okay.
Because they said, we don't want, this is the first batch of girls in this university and in this college, and we don't want girls in mechanical. It's more of a boys.
Okay. Although you were on merit and everything
Yeah,
was
I
settled.
qualified well on the merit list.
Okay.
So I really had to like fight my way through, getting to the commandant of the college and the vice chancellor and all that.
You did that on your own?
I did that, and then my dad helped me.
Okay.
He went and he met some people, and finally somehow they
admission in
agreed.
mechanical.
Yeah. Initially, when I tried, they kind of refused, but somehow I think
I think it was fate.
Yes, it was fate, and I consider that I was fortunate.
You're
And
the only girl in your class
in my
throughout
class.
your college?
Yeah, 4 years of
Wow.
mechanical engineering.
Okay.
There were 60 boys.
Wow. Okay.
Plus minus one at all time if somebody would not qualify, but yeah.
Okay.
So
okay. And you passed your NUST college with flying colors? Like, did you get a position or
I
something?
got a reasonable
score
in academics, in theory, but my project was ranked. I got a position in my final year project.
And what was your project?
This was also on automotive engines, on a car engine. It was like measuring the temperatures and the pressure inside the engine when the combustion is taking place. Yeah, so it was quite a bit of work.
Okay.
I had one supervisor from the university, Colonel Jamil, and then he was also, he had specialized in engines, and then my dad. He was my external
He
supervisor.
supported you. Oh, okay, he was the
Yeah.
external supervisor. Okay.
So I used to work in the lab there because army institutions have good facilities, especially technical. So they had good equipment, good facility, good labs.
So you got a good hands-on experience.
Yeah, and the staff, the lab staff was also good, well trained.
Okay.
They would, you learn a lot from them. I went into the engine section. I said I want to do the engine myself. So they said okay. So
And what do you mean by?
I mean, you have to. All the components are there. You have to put them together.
To
bolt
make
them,
one engine.
Make one engine. So one day I made one engine.
Wow.
The next day, and then you have rotations at different sections. There's the paint section, there is the sub-assembly section, there's the welding section. So I used to go to every section
And get hands-on.
get hands-on experience, and all that. And then one day I said I want to assemble the bike. So there's like a long factory and the plant. You know, you start from one end, you keep putting in parts, and at the end there's a bike product ready.
Wow! And you did
So
that?
I did that. I started from the first station, and I did the first station, second, third. All it was like a whole day's.
It's like you
job.
can make your own car also. You can just get one from the junkyard, you know, just a skeleton, and you know you can make everything.
Put in,
yourself.
but yeah, but
Have you ever tried that?
No.
No.
Not
you want to
with
try
car.
that?
No, but I'm now into aeroplanes.
Oh,
so
that's what I was coming to.
Yeah.
So you finished your NUST. You are a mechanical engineer now. What did you do after that?
Okay. So just I'm gonna bring in the interesting part,
Yeah.
and then we can go to that.
Yeah.
So when I finished the bike, I said I want to test drive it, because every bike or car that's assembled, they ride it to
Okay.
test if it's okay. And initially the manager was a bit hesitant, and but then he allowed me. So I went, took that bike all around the factory, and when I came back, the entire factory was outside.
Wow.
And then they all clapped. So that was
Oh.
a very positive
Okay,
attitude,
and
and
you
very
must have gotten a lot of you know, like encouragement.
encouragement. It was very encouraging.
Okay, so when you finished your NUST, like most of the students, they would opt for a job and you know get into the professional life and start earning. What was your goal?
Yeah, I went for a job.
Mhm.
I worked for this manufacturing industry in Islamabad. It was a good one. And I
Engines? Manufacturing
no,
engines?
they were no, they were not doing engines. They were doing other engineering, a lot of engineering, high-end engineering
Okay.
products. They're
Okay.
still doing it.
Okay.
And I did a CNG gasket. You know, when there was a time when you were switching all engines
Yeah,
from
CNG was very much
very
the in
popular.
thing.
Yeah, so you need a kit. It's like a conversion thing
Yeah.
that converts this engine into an engine that can run on
A fuel
gas.
operated engine into a
Gas operated,
you know, like
yeah.
it can operate on CNG
See,
as well as on fuel.
So we developed that. So that was also a very good learning and hands-on, and it was like a factory floor
So
experience.
it was an indigenous thing. I thought it was something which was imported.
It was imported, but then people started making their
Making
own as
local,
well,
okay.
because it's doable. I
Okay.
mean, if you
Must have
put
been a
it-
cheaper option also.
yes,
if you
cheaper,
make it here.
and it was
Okay.
doable. So yeah, so we did it as an R&D project, but it was successful.
Okay.
I don't know if the company later took it up, because obviously, you know, it has to be with the commercial
Yeah,
demand and
yeah.
all that, but technically it was successful.
Okay, so you did a job there for what, about 2 years, 3 years?
No, for a year,
Okay.
and then I took a break for a
Mhm.
year. I enrolled in an Islamic school for 1 year.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, I was at Al Huda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, because I wanted to, you know, understand
Understand
Islam
religion more
in
and-
my own context,
Okay.
instead of people telling me. And yeah, so I went there, which was a very it was a
Enlightening experience.
enlightening and a very peaceful year. One of the most
Okay.
memorable ones.
Okay.
A relaxed
So
one.
totally no work, no engineering, no nothing.
No.
Focused on.
It was focused, because I believe that, because they had like full-time classes.
Okay, okay.
So 8 to 2, 8 to 3, then some assignments, whatever. So, and I think that you should, you know, whatever you do, I believe in, you know, dedication and focus.
Yes.
You can't be a scattered
You can
brain.
only excel if you have both these things.
Yeah,
that
and you
mentioned.
can't do so. And you have to be patient. I mean, you can do a lot. I feel I've done a lot, but maybe one thing at a time. It's not that you can do everything all the time, and then, you know, not being fair to anything.
So after rigorous years of you know, like studying and you know doing all these engine and everything, you took some time off for yourself, reflecting on yourself, having focus, learning something new in a different perspective.
Yeah,
So it must have been like a breather for you also.
it was definitely.
And then after
definitely.
that, what you decided to do?
Then I
PhD?
went back into work.
Okay.
You know,
You again got back into job.
I got back into job. there was initially like somewhere here for a few months in Islamabad.
Okay.
Into a software house where they were doing technical softwares for engineers.
And all this time, did you have any intention to study further or to do PhD?
Yes,
or to? You had
I
that
had
intention?
this, I
You
had
were
this.
just trying to get some.
I had big dreams all along.
Okay. Okay.
I think the first time, like by 18, by my A levels, I knew what I wanted to do, what I want to become, what's my career path.
You knew that.
I knew that.
You're clear.
And the first time I said it out aloud was during my graduate year, and like engineering or after my engineering, I said this to one of my class fellows and friends at NUST, and I said I'm gonna start my own company. And he said, "Will I get a job in that company?" So I said, now I think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I met him a few days ago, and I said, "Do you remember?" I said it aloud. So he said, "Will I get a job in your company now?"
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So you did some work.
So I was
in
focused
Okay.
that that's something that I want to do in later years.
Okay. And then how did this PhD thing come along?
Okay, so then I went to Lahore, and I joined another company. They were working on automotives, like cars, not specifically on engines, but cars. And I got like good. There were some good automotive engineers, qualified from abroad, and one of my colleagues was also from Cranfield University, an automotive engineer from Cranfield University. Cranfield is actually the hub of aerospace.
Yeah, it's known for, yeah.
So he introduced me to Cranfield University. I found out about that. So I started applying, and to various other places in Germany, in UK, and the way you send out applications everywhere. And meanwhile, I enrolled in Lahore Flying Club. And I got.
And that was a personal passion? Like you wanted to learn flying?
I wanted to learn flying.
And you
my
got
dad
PPL?
also. I got a PPL. My
Private
dad also
pilot license. Yeah.
wanted me to learn flying.
Okay. How long did it take for you to learn flying?
It took me a while because I did it part time. Usually students they they do it with their. They do it as a full-time activity. So they do it
as a
quick.
part-time.
Yeah, I used to go early morning, fly, and then go to work. So it was like every day, but sometimes because you're not there in the later hours, you miss your flights. There's a schedule, there's the weather, there's the permission by the control tower, and because there's VIP activity. It's not that you can really plan.
It's not that you just take out the keys and just drive off.
Yeah. So you really, it's like you have to be fortunate to get a chance, and sometimes on the weekends I would fly. So at that time, I also took the exam. There's like a theory exam. So usually students take ground classes, pilots, they take classes and they give the exam. But I thought I'm an engineer, I would study on my own and clear it, and I did. I cleared that on my own, studying on my own, and I continued working in Lahore. I got my solo. When you fly solo for the first time, it was like 50 hours of flying, and somewhere in between you get your solo, and then you do the remaining flight. And my dad was also there, and when I got off the plane, I think I saw my dad, and that was the happiest that I ever saw him.
Such an achievement
in my life, the happiest that I've seen of him. And I remember it was like something like disbelief. So it was a good experience.
Wow. Okay.
And after that, I moved. Like I worked there for two and a half years. Then I moved to Islamabad. I worked for another 2 years here at another company where I was like a trainer as well for engineering, design, and when you do that on the computer and stuff. And also I learned, because what I had to train, I learned that, and a consultant. So then, meanwhile, I was applying. Then I got my scholarship to Cranfield University.
You got your scholarship?
Yeah.
Fully paid?
Fully paid, yeah.
Wow, okay.
So I went there for a master's by research, and this was on aerospace dynamics and controls. Aerospace dynamics is like, you know, how the control surfaces control the plane and the design of the plane.
So
I
from
would
cars
say.
you moved to planes?
Yeah, from cars,
Auto
from
engines
engines
to-
to cars to planes to jet engines to
Okay,
aircraft engines.
okay.
That's been my
Okay, okay.
journey.
So how was that experience moving to UK?
It was
and-
wonderful. It was my first visit to the UK.
Okay.
So obviously,
You didn't know what to expect?
no. The weather, that's one thing we can talk
It's
about.
a challenge, yeah.
It's a challenge, yes. But because Cranfield was kind of overwhelming, it was like, you know, so it had its own airport, planes, and so rich in technology, and in there's like an aerospace environment all around you. Everybody whom you meet is doing something on that, and they had a very good community life. They were on campus housing, and also because it's a postgraduate institution, so it's like people there come for masters or PhD. So during my masters, I was given this project to work on the autopilot for drones. Drones, you know, are very popular now.
Yes.
They were like new technology
At that time.
yeah, there they are called UAVs or unmanned
Unmanned,
aerial
yeah,
vehicles. हम कहते हैं कि we say that why aren't they unwomaned? Unmanned. So anyways, I worked on, you know, they wanted drones to have longer endurance, so they want to refuel them mid-air without landing. So I worked on that, and then at that time, the Cranfield, because it had its own airport, University was actually a World War II landing strip. They had a hangar and an airport.
Oh, okay.
So when the war ended, I mean, that's something very wise and very visionary. They decided to convert it into a college of aeronautics. So they used the hangar to make classrooms or labs, and then the airport, and you have the planes.
So you can make aircraft,
So,
test them,
yes.
and you know, like.
So that's how it originated. It was a college of aeronautics. It became a complete university, and now it's like the hub of aerospace in the world. So I met the pilot there, Richard, and he said that we usually give all the students a feel of the aircraft, because you know they're studying about aircraft design and different modes of flight. So they should experience this how it actually happens in reality. So I said that you know, they were giving 2 flights to each student. Some of them were scared and they backed out. But anyways, I said that I already have a license. I'm a pilot. I know how to fly. So he said, what do you want to do then? I said, I want to fly the plane upside down. I want to spin it. So he said it's a bit intimidating, but because it was an acrobatic plane,
So you can.
it was like from the World War II, so it could do all those maneuvers. So then he said it's intimidated, but he taught me all the maneuvers, like, you know, spin and
That was
spin
the
recovery.
adventurous side of yours.
Yes, that was the most fascinating and unique experience at Cranfield,
Okay.
or you know, abroad. Because I know that that's not something I can do here.
Yeah.
I can study here,
Yeah.
but not unless you enroll yourself in
Yeah.
the Air Force.
Yeah.
So that was great, and then you know, they test your G limits, and mine was like minus 2.5 to plus 5, which
Okay.
is like a very good G tolerance.
Okay. Okay.
And the instructor was very amused. He said, I find it surprising that a girl from Pakistan is doing this, because you know the image that we
Yeah.
carry for Pakistan. And so then I continued that part,
Okay.
flying like on and off. I used to fly, and he taught me a lot much more than what was supposed to be part of the curriculum.
And at the same time your studies were going on and you moved on to your PhD, is it?
No, after that I came back. After my master's I came back to Pakistan. I got married in 8 weeks.
Okay.
And I mean, it obviously the marriage was
Planned, yeah.
but you know, the time in between and so
And don't
many
tell
things.
me your husband was also from the aeronautical.
No, he's not.
Okay.
He's got a background in engineering, in mechanical engineering, but then he did his MBA at LUMS, and then he went into the oil and gas industry, and he is into his own businesses.
Okay.
So it's a very different kind of a field.
Okay.
Yeah, so I came back and
Got
then
married, then went
kind
back.
of settled down.
Okay.
And then I got my scholarship. In fact, I had gotten my scholarship for my PhD
While you were there?
While I was there, but then I told the professor that you know, give me some break.
I need some break,
in between. I'll go get married and come back.
Okay.
So he said good. So he was supportive. So after like 11 months after my marriage, I went back to UK to start my PhD.
Okay. And how long was that for?
This was usually PhD there is for 3 years, but it took me 5 years because I did it, you know, along the way my daughter was born, so I had to Ayat.
MashaAllah.
So I had to like you know, switch to part-time, and then
But you completed it successfully.
yes. In fact, I did a lot of it, part of the research here in Pakistan. When Ayat was born, I came back.
Okay.
And then I did, you know, then again my dad got involved, because obviously it's very challenging working on such a difficult topic with the baby, so he was very supportive. He said, okay, and the professor is not there to guide you, you know, so he took that role, and we started working together.
So you did your PhD, you became a doctor, and then you came back to Pakistan and you started your own company.
Yes.
But before we go into that, we need to take a small break. Very, very interesting, very, very inspiring story. Dr. Sara is here with us. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Sky's the Limit. I am in conversation with Dr. Sara Qureshi, and as I mentioned in the intro, Dr. Sara is amongst the top 10 most inspiring women in Pakistan, and she has been listed amongst the top 15 global aerospace professionals to follow on LinkedIn for her pioneering work on her revolutionary technology. That's quite an achievement for any Pakistani. Yes, Dr. Sara, you finished your PhD, you became a doctor, you came back and you started to work with your dad. You established your own company?
Yes.
Okay, and what was that all about?
Okay, so this was basically in continuation of my PhD research, because during my PhD, it was on jet engines. So there was this task given to me to design or mitigate, you know, to make an environment-friendly jet engine, and to mitigate contrails. Contrail is this black smoke, white smoke that you see behind an aircraft.
The jet.
The jet, yes. And that's basically, it's a condensation trail. It's actually frozen water vapor. So it's like an artificial cloud. Now, because whenever you burn fuel, you get water vapor and carbon dioxide as two byproducts. So because as the hot steam leaves the engine or the exhaust, it freezes into an artificial cloud. Now it looks nice, but it's actually an environmental threat, because initially the work on this started after World War II or during World War II, because they could detect enemy planes. So, you know, they started to see what this is all about, and they were putting in chemicals to make it disappear. But later, researchers found out that it has a global warming potential, which is at least 5 times more than carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide at the moment is only contributing to like 3 to 4% to aviation-induced global warming in the sky, and contrails are contributing like minimum of 20%, and some studies say it's up to 50% of global warming in the skies because of these artificial clouds, and they are 50% of the total emissions as well.
Okay.
So because they're not natural clouds, so they disturb the Earth's radiation budget, and they are forming like a layer on the surface of the Earth. They trap the heat. It's like doing the greenhouse effect, block the sunlight. So my work was to,
contrail free,
to make it contrail free, or eliminate them, or suppress them, avoid them, do something about it. So I came back to Pakistan because just at that time when I started my research and I finished my MPhil, like with the initial research, my daughter was born. So I came back here, and my dad and myself, we worked on this. He came up with 2 inventions, like which is an add-on device to a jet engine that processes these emissions and converts the water vapor content into liquid water that is stored on board. You get a clean exhaust, you don't get contrails, you don't get global warming, and then you can also utilize that water if you need, like you can release it as artificial rainfall lower down where you need, like maybe in Middle East, if you want to grow a forest in a desert, or you want to grow crops somewhere, or in drought-stricken areas in Africa. So it's like a dual purpose. So we patented this invention. I developed the engineering model and ran simulations and made the design. So I was granted a PhD. Then during my PhD, I won a few awards on it, student awards, and I went to Monaco to present this, and there was the second time I spelled it out to some people that I want to set up a company, and also that I saw that clean tech companies there, that because before that we always thought that profit, like environment and all, is something that's done by NGOs or governments, and it's not for profit.
Not in the private sector.
Not in the private sector, not in the not-for-profit businesses.
Commercial, yeah.
So that's how I learned that there is investment and they can add value and all that.
Yeah.
So that was again a very crucial turning point, and my professor, my PhD professor, was very supportive all through my PhD with the birth of my daughter, and I spent time in England alone with my daughter because my husband was working in Pakistan. So with all these challenges of moving back and forth and with the young child, so he said that this is something remarkable that you've achieved, and
you should utilize it,
you should
capitalize on it.
Yes, you should take it beyond your PhD, and it has a global impact. It can bring about a revolution. So you must take it forward. So we explored. There were opportunities to set up a company there and get support from the university. But I wanted to come back
to Pakistan.
My family was here.
And give back to Pakistan.
And also to give back to Pakistan. So I came back, and then I launched this company.
And this was the first ever company in Pakistan of this sort?
Of this sort, definitely. Because here in Pakistan, if you talk about aviation, generally it's like either the defense R&D or the Air Force or airline operations. There's no like civil commercial research and development. Now there are a few drone companies. Maybe there were a few at that time also, but mostly focused on the defense side. So I started this in the civil space, and the first one to do aircraft engines. We are not even doing car engines. We are far from doing motorbike engines. So, let alone aircraft engines.
Did you face any difficulties in getting the company registered? Or
no, not in getting registered. Just that they thought it was very unique and
something
difficult to explain.
Yeah.
But I think my teammates did a good job. That wasn't the difficult part, but getting the infrastructure together, getting the technology required, the components, the materials, that's been a big challenge. The finances, everything has been a challenge. Because here people don't really, I mean, they're not very well aware of aviation. We know that there's no investment into deep tech product development companies anyways, not even aviation in particular, but otherwise as well. We got some seed money from one of the organizations which was supporting, giving equity sharing to women-led startups, but mostly they were like bakeries or fashion.
This is a very unique field that you've chosen. So
I said that you've given the same amount to somebody who's making clothes and shoes, and the same amount for a jet engine. So it wasn't really what I had pitched for, but it was something that helped us launch the company. So we launched this company.
How long has it been?
We launched in 2018.
Okay, so about 4 years now?
Yeah.
5 years?
4 years, yeah. So initially, 6 months are taken to set up the infrastructure and everything. Then we started working. So first we wanted that we should get some jet engine from somewhere like PIA or Air Force or any other organization, and we used that to build our own invention and test our invention. But we weren't able to get any. So my dad...
There wasn't any available?
No, there were many available in scrap. But they are, planes are grounded, so engines are grounded. So there are many, but there are no policies to get them.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like the infrastructure is not the environment is not conducive.
Very conducive.
Yeah.
Okay.
So so my dad suggested we'll make our own engine, because instead of wasting time, asking everybody and not getting anywhere, we'll just make a better use of this time and build the jet engine. When we did build the jet engine, we found out that there is a demand in Pakistan, because there are a lot of drone operators and they need engines, and there's an embargo. They can't import large engines, and they are very expensive. So this was Pakistan's first jet engine in the civil space that we built, and so it's an achievement in itself. Then we built the prototype of the invention. So usually with products, what you do is you build it on small scale as a prototype and test it. And once it's confirmed, then you build it to actual scale.
Mass scale. Okay.
So we built the prototype technology demonstrator and we tested it. We tested the engine. So these are the two products. Even now our testing is going on. Then the third thing we are working on is another smaller engine for drones, something which is like a low cost disposable kind of an engine. Because drones don't need some drones don't need a lot of sophistication and control. So that
could be a commercial product.
It would be a commercial project. So it's under development. We've done some testing on the first prototype. We've done, I think, 2 or 3 prototypes, but it's under development. It's not finished. The larger one is finished. The invention is finished. This is on the way. And then meanwhile, I also got a patent on one of my inventions on supersonic engines. So supersonics was basically, this is some idea that I got during my PhD or before when I started my PhD, and I wanted to work on it as well. But it's a very difficult subject. Subsonics are easy. When you go to supersonics, it becomes, the maths becomes very difficult.
When you say supersonic, Concorde comes to mind.
Concorde, so this was like, in a way, solving the problems that Concorde had. Among many reasons that it was grounded.
It was discontinued.
It was discontinued. There were some political reasons. I don't know. I mean, it was a European aircraft. Then they had some technical issues, but there was one big issue which is of noise. Because it was supersonic, it was a very noisy plane. Just like when you hear a military plane take off
Yeah,
across
yeah.
the sound.
It crosses the sound barrier, that's why.
But that's like one-off, once in a blue moon, once in a while that happens. But with a commercial transport aircraft, if that is something happening every day,
then it would affect.
even if one plane takes off and
Yeah.
lands every day, so it cannot comply to noise regulations on the ground, and it disturbs the urban population. So keeping that in mind, I invented another engine that would, bypass this. It would be a low noise engine.
Wow.
So it would not. It would.
It is invented.
It has been invented and granted a patent, but it hasn't been made.
It hasn't been made, but the technology is there.
Yes. So I had that in mind, and so this engine would take off like any other engine, any other aircraft, and land like any other aircraft. But when it's on the sea or at high altitudes, over the sea or at high altitudes, it will switch to the supersonic mode.
Oh, so it's like a hybrid kind of.
A hybrid. Yeah.
How many inventions do you have to your name?
This is my official invention to my name that has been patented.
Wow.
And it makes me an inventor officially. Otherwise, good ideas keep coming to your mind. The other inventions were like on my dad's name. He had the core idea, but I supported, like I was part of the patent writing process and all. And so I've just recently started working on this engine, as in its design, the soft work, the drawing board work, I would say.
Do you have work from home, or do you have a factory or a?
We have a setup.
You have a setup.
We have a setup.
And you have employees and all.
We have a team. Yes.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So with this patent, I think, so I had thought about it many years ago, and then one day we were just visiting some Air Force facility, and my daughter she was running around, and she went into one of the rooms. I went there and I saw some engine testing and whatever, and that really cleared my mind. It was just by chance that she went off, because there's something like what, and then what you have to do, and then how you have to do, and then I realized how this engine would work. And from there, when I came back and my dad was showing me the design of the JF-17 engine or something in it, so I told him I have an invention as well on supersonics. He said, why don't you patent it? So this was early 2020 or 2019, and I wasn't getting the time to do it. And then when COVID happened, that's when there was enough peace of mind.
A lot of time.
A lot of time.
You could do
not a lot of time, a lot of work also, but there was some peace of mind, day-to-day operations were over. So that's when I wrote it. And usually patents take very long, they take 5 years to grant as well. So in UK it was granted in less than a year. And then I applied in the US, it was granted in a little over a year. So
you have that patent.
I have that patent.
Tell us something about your awards. You have a whole list of awards to your name.
Yes, I have now 22 awards and recognitions. I don't remember all of them now.
Just tell us the major ones.
The major ones, the most prestigious ones was in which I competed worldwide. One is I got the Distinguished Alumni Award from Cranfield University, which is given to the best, one of their best graduates who's been doing who's done successfully well after graduating from Cranfield. So I got that. And this is like competing worldwide with everybody else. And then recently I got the Global Founder of the Year, which is also a global award.
Wow.
To which I was first shortlisted from Pakistan, and then from among the SAARC region. I won from the SAARC region, and then I won all over the world.
This is like an inventor award.
No, the company founder award, just for this kind of work. Because this kind of work is usually not taken up by startups or small companies. It's like something if big giants and big corporates
R&D
decide
is
to do
obviously one of those,
Yeah.
areas.
and especially challenging the industry and
Challenging the norms.
norms and disrupting the industry with a new engine,
Wow.
with something which is environment friendly.
Wow.
Because aviation is the only industry in the sky, and whatever is happening there is very hidden, and so there's no there's no pressure on anyone to do something about it, and the other industries or the rest of the world doesn't even, there's no specialized knowledge either. So if the
This is a very
aviation
specialized
industry
field.
decides not to do anything about it and let the skies get polluted, they have a choice.
We have to do something for our future generation. But this is awesome. Any other word that you'd like to mention out of these 22?
I got the UK Alumni Award as well. So
Okay.
there was one from the university, one from British Council.
Okay.
There's
Awesome.
some recognition from Women Tech Network in USA.
Has the Pakistani government given you any award?
Pakistani, the Ministry of IT gave me an award.
Okay.
I have been a national winner in a few competitions.
You're teaching at NUST also?
No, I'm not teaching.
But do you go
because
there
this
for
is-
guest speaker sessions?
Yes, for guest speaker sessions I go to different
I'm sure
universities.
they must be very proud of you also.
Yes, I believe they are.
Sarah, if I was to discuss your inventions and your awards in detail, I'd be required to do a 5 to 6 hour program. Unfortunately, we do not have that much liberty. But it's been lovely talking to you. But before we sign off, I would like you, as a female Pakistani who has done so much, who has made Pakistan proud, made Pakistan shine more on the global map, what kind of advice or words would you like to say to all those young Pakistani students specifically who are watching you, specifically girls who are watching you? What would you like to say to them?
First of all, we have to be patient, and we need to first learn and then achieve. So, because I feel that young generation just wants to, have it all the day they graduate. It doesn't happen like that. That's one thing. And then the other thing is, like, we need to be confident of what we are doing. Like, I know that I'm working in Pakistan. I'm working with a small team, but I've gotten global recognition. So now with social media and everything, the work can be communicated. So
Yeah.
I don't believe that you need very hi-fi structures, very fancy equipment to
even
excel
start. Yeah, okay.
or to start, or you need big organizations or big buildings. Sometimes those buildings are very hollow and very shallow. It's the core content.
You can start small.
You can
but
start
concrete.
small, concrete, and you can grow big. So it's about your own confidence and your faith in your work.
What I've picked up, Sarah, is that never give up on your dreams.
Yes.
And always think big, because what Sarah is doing is something unique, something extraordinary, but she has made it possible, and she has put Pakistan on the map and made Pakistan proud. Dr. Sarah, it was amazing talking to you. I wish you all the best in your future inventions. Make Pakistan more proud. Keep on doing the good stuff. And you are an inspiration for a lot of students, for a lot of girls who would want to be like Dr. Sarah Qureshi.
Thank you
very
so
much.
much. I just want to add something,
Yeah.
if you allow. I think I see a very significant role of my parents in my journey, and I feel that it would not have been possible without
Their
my
blessings.
father's blessings and support.
Guidance.
Guidance. So, and I've seen that in many people, like people who are, dynamic and they change the norms. You would see that, they have some inspiration from their dad.
Yeah.
And it's about, and the mothers give you support in your emotional side, and the fathers
Yeah,
give you
yeah.
support in your career and profession, so it's like a balance.
Yeah.
So it's very, I think for parents also, it's important to encourage children
your
and support children.
Yep, yep. Thank you very much, Dr. Sara Qureshi. With this, we come to the end of this episode of Sky's the Limit. Inshallah, I will see you in another episode. Till then, Allah Hafiz.